If you got a full belly, prepare yourself because you might just puke upon seeing and listening to this unbelievable, embarrassing cringe. This is the worst flirting, the worst attempt at wooing a potential romantic interest I have ever seen. This is like playing a visual novel and then scaring away all of your potential love interests at once and getting the worst ending. Now, I'd like to give a bit of context here to the situation before we really dive into the meatballs from our spaghetti entree of cringe. A user on Twitter posted screenshots as well as videos from a random guy who had reached out to her on Facebook because he had seen her on a dating app. The two didn't even match, and I guess he must have assumed that it was some kind of glitch because they were destined to be lovers. It was fate that was pulling them together, but unfortunately technology had a malfunction, so he took matters into his own hands, tracked her down on Facebook, of which she had no connection to the dating app. She didn't connect any of her socials to the dating app, so he did some super sleuthing to find her on Facebook and reach out to her there to try and win her heart. And let's see how that went. Kelsey! I love that intro right there. It's straight out of Scary Movie, like that old commercial. What's up? He's coming at her like they're best friends from way back in the day. He then executes Order 66 and kills all potential for romance. He goes, okay, shit. Mayhaps that was a tad overly enthusiastic for a stranger danger message on a sunny Friday morning. There is so much quirk to the way that he texts that I'm getting uncomfortable. I can say with a high level of confidence that he is definitely in some kind of theater troupe because he is typing like he's acting out some kind of skit for a play. It's a little much here. My bad. Let's go with, I can explain. Fuck yeah, that works. Then drops a couple emojis and then one of these bad boys. How she didn't immediately fall in love. My bad. Let's go with, I can explain. Fuck yeah, that works. Then drops a couple emojis and then one of these bad boys. How she didn't immediately fall in love with this man is beyond me. This is aggressive, and it's already creepy because it's a complete stranger who saw her on a dating app and then tracked her down in order to, really directly communicate with her. So, let's go over where things went wrong here. I'll go ahead and get the playbook out like John Madden and say where everything fell apart for the offense. From the start, basically. There is nothing that's even remotely salvageable from what he tried to do here. There is nothing more annoying than texting like you're talking to yourself during the text. Like when you say something like, Kelsey, mayhaps that was a tad too far on a stranger danger sunny Friday afternoon. Goodness gracious, how do I save this? Like, that is so fucking lame. That is shameful. That is just downright shameful. I am shocked he didn't drop like an asterisk nuzzles you, and then an asterisk, you there? Yeah, and then one of those emojis. So she said, sorry, do I know you? And then it reactivates this cringe protocol. He says, oh hey, no, we don't know each other. Sincere apologies for the subterfuge. Oh brother, this guy stinks. Dropping subterfuge here in your creepy approach to a stranger. If you give me the tiniest bit of room, I'd be happy to explain. I reckon that said explanation will bring laughs and smiles. P.S. I'm trying to rope you into a pyramid scheme to sell fancy Tupperware. Yet. He's trying very hard to be self-aware, and when he starts sending his voice memos to her, he reiterates 1,000 times like, this is weird, you're probably going to think I'm weird, and then just keeps doing it. He sends so many voice messages that go for a long time. It's making my voice crack because of how fucking embarrassing it is. And you want to know the wildest part? I'm getting ahead of myself, and it's a spoiler. He sends so many voice messages that go for a long time. It's making my voice crack because of how fucking embarrassing it is. And you want to know the wildest part? I'm getting ahead of myself, and it's a spoiler. He has done this to multiple women, apparently. Other women have come forward after this tweet and all of this, the receipts here and all that went viral, with other women showing their interactions with him, and he even uses like the exact same lines on other women, which is really odd considering that has to be a 0% success rate. These can't be working well at all. It's so weird. So she decides to play ball here and open Pandora's box to see what comes out. She says, explain away. And he gives a brief, cool guy thing. Oh God, I just spent 60 minutes singing the seniors and man am I drained. But fuck it, I can do this. He's hyping himself up in the text messages he is sending to this girl. It is so embarrassing, and he keeps doing it, but it gets worse because right after that, he sends a voice message.
Hey, Kelsey, how's it going? Don't mind me, I fucking hate texting. I think we're all... But feel free to... try to help him find a musician. And here goes nothing.
Being, super busy, hey, sorry for the delay. I know you were waiting on bated breath for my explanation, but I had to help very big musicians find a gig. You may have heard of them before, Bring Me the Horizon. I'm the lead singer. So I had a lot going on, and I was double booked, so I had to give them a different band. You may have heard of them, Metallica. But anyway, let me go ahead and explain what's going on. I just finished one of my own gigs, in fact, so I'm a little drained, but don't be perturbed because I'm going to do my best to fake it. So stay tuned for part 2. It's coming right up. He's about to go through his stand-up comedy routine, which you don't want to miss.
And the trenches of online dating for a couple years. So
women can't have a personality, but you're defying all of science right now. He's just going on about this fucking shrug emoji. He's talking about her bio on the dating site, and he just really fixates on that. That shrug emoji is like Cupid's arrow to this guy. He fell in love instantly when he saw it in her bio. I don't know why he thought it was a compliment to say that she's strange and different in a good way because pretty women are boring or whatever, and insinuates that a pretty girl can't have a personality. I don't know what the thought process was with that approach, but it's definitely a whole play.
I think you said something about live music.
Only the second voice message here, he's already just calling her Kels. They're not even on a first name basis. They're not acquaintances. These are two complete strangers, and he's already giving her a nickname. What the fuck?
Oh yeah, just the night before I'd been talking with my best friend, and people that match me and clearly don't read my fucking bio. Folks will match and be like, so what do you do for a living? I'm like, come on, Chelsea. Yeah, you're kind of cute, but I'm pretty damn sweet. Try hard.
Because you didn't match with her. What the fuck is this? Now he's going on about dating apps are so weird. People just say hey. So then I'm like, hi. You don't know how to have a conversation. You didn't read the bio that I painstakingly typed up. I spent a long time on that bio and now I'm offended. It's ridiculous, but excuse me, ridiculous.
I don't know. It's just to see someone mention that in a bio, I'm like, thank you. I can see you feel the same as me. People, I always think that effort should match interest in dating. So if you're curious if someone's interested or not, remember that scene with Justin Long and What's-Her-Face in that movie about dating? Is that he's just not that into you? And he's like, if the guy's interested, he will call. And it's true. So I found a line a couple years ago, and it's effort will always match interest. It will show you how interested someone is. And I'm pretty goddamn sweet, and I am not that lonely, bored, or horny. I'm not going to take
What does that have to do with anything in this situation? This isn't even flirting. This is just blurting. He's just blurting out all the most nonsensical shit in his head right now to a complete stranger. And not only that, this is probably not even his first take. I bet he recorded this 10 times until he had one that was this is the one. This was smooth. And that's what we got here. We got the final product. This isn't even the first draft, I doubt, which is mind-blowing.
I'm worth more. Damn it. This is where the Kelly Clarkson song comes in. Your bio is just, there was so much intentional beware. I speak for myself, because I'd like to consider myself one of those.
That's the end of chapter 2 from the voice memos, but don't worry, there's still a finale, and it's the extended director's cut. The next one's over 5 minutes long. Also, he doubles down on this whole you're pretty, but you have a personality, which that just does not happen. I don't know why he thinks that that's some kind of grand compliment. It's very odd. Before playing the 5-minute, 30-second monologue here, he must have seen that she listened to it. He's like, gotcha. Yeah, I'm sorry, right-handed. You listen to it. Curiosity got the better of you. And then she says, dude, so you saw me on Bumble and found me on Facebook? How? Clearly very creeped out by it, understandably. And then he goes, I honestly just typed in Kelsey and I guess I got lucky. I figured because you put live music, we might have some friends in common or something. I blame Zuckerberg, and then laughing emoji. Which contradicts everything that he said here, because he's constantly talking and referencing her bio, which I think is referring to her dating profile bio, especially because he does mention online dating with pays and hides and shit. So I don't even know why he thought that would somehow save the situation. She'd be fooled by it.
For the love of fuck. I was 2 minutes into one, and it was awesome and funny.
Trust me. But then one of my fucking asshole friends called me about a gig, because I'm so busy being a successful live musician. Can you believe that, Kels? Can you believe that? It's those things, where we both go on dates, right? I go on dates. Clearly, you go on dates, and sometimes when you're just busy, people call and talk. Jesus Christ.
But yeah, no, your bio was just the fucking bee's knees. I mean, listen, top 3 in like the hundreds or thousands I've seen. It was just, I don't know.
Cruising around, and if you don't match with someone you found attractive or interesting based on their bio, you go out of your way to find them elsewhere to try and talk to them, which is very scary behavior.
I fully accept how strange and unconventional this is. I got a vibe, and I figured I gotta go with it. I was like in a really good mood that day. I don't know. I'm totally winging it. But yeah, a lot of my close friends are women, and no, they were crazy. So I
should have led to this eureka moment where he was overcome with immense shame, and he just presses the eject button and deletes the voice memo and doesn't continue this conversation. Like, he's clearly pointing out just how weird all this is. He's even going into all of his friends are women who, you know, have stories about having to block crazy people who didn't know they were crazy. Like, case in point, what you're doing here, but you keep trying to, like, make it seem like it's not weird, even though you do keep acknowledging how weird it is. So, like, you're fighting, like, a battle against yourself in your own messages. You are calling yourself out in front of the person that you're talking to as well. It's really weird.
Oh, okay. It's not fair. You've seen mine, or sorry, I've seen yours and you have not seen mine. If you want, I will screenshot my Bumble bio. I'm quite proud of it. I think it's pretty fucking good. It represents me well. And
it's not a job interview, bro. You don't need to be giving your resume here. Brother, just stop. Please. But goodness gracious.
7.5, maybe even an 8. I'm feeling really fucking good lately. I got a 10.
Oh, that happens. That happens.
What happens when you get 3 of them? Hey, would you do that? What? From way downtown here, he's throwing up a crazy jump shot. He immediately goes into, I've got big feet. You know what that means? Baby girl. Oh my lord, please, have mercy. Have mercy. Why?
What else? I feel like I didn't tell you enough about the bio, too. That shrug emoji was just...
You're shouting out podcasts. You're talking about fucking shrug emoji again. It's hurting me listening to this. Let this be a lesson to everyone out there watching this. Just don't do anything even remotely like this. Never engage in a one-sided conversation where you have to be the one filling in blanks in a conversation that doesn't really exist.
But I'm sitting here, a middle-aged guy in his car with the AC on and a SpongeBob shirt, and I would call this like the technological version of, you know, when like Noah stops Allie in the Notebook and he's like, I have to talk to you when I see something I want. Yes, I just made a Notebook reference. I don't know. I'm being a total idiot right now. So if nothing else, I figured you'd have a laugh and a smile and you can fucking make fun of me to your...
This man is doing everything now in podcast so that the girl could... Oh, you like the Notebook? Oh, God.
And I don't know, maybe with a solo podcast for a guy that makes like $6 grand a month on a microphone being an idiot.
He was right. This is something that everyone can laugh about and have a big smile on their face making fun of this whole situation. And then out of nowhere, he drops like his salary from his job to flex. He just like slides that in there, which, I mean, it's an interesting strategy yet again. This guy's got a wild book of tricks.
I'm sorry, I don't normally bring up money, but I feel like I created my job out of thin air, and like I just submitted my 2022 taxes, and it's been getting so much better the last few years, so I'm quite proud of it. That wasn't me trying to impress you with money. I've got way more impressive shit than that. I just slipped out. I'll think it's anyway,
why leave it in there, though? You saying that clearly made you uncomfortable. You could have just deleted this and just tried again. Though I don't think you should have tried again regardless. This shouldn't have happened to begin with, but you yourself just made yourself puke in your mouth when you said your $6 grand a month out loud like that as like a flex. And you still let it ride. You still let this Beyblade rip. Why?
You look like a goddamn Disney princess. The bio completely floored me. I felt like it was written by a friend or something. I just got like strong, like fellow neurodivergent, super cool, gregarious, happy person vibes. And yeah, so listen, I'm an open book. You probably figured that out like 6 years ago. If you have any questions for me, please hit me. Don't be shy. If you want, I'll share my bio. I feel like it's unfair that, you know, I've seen yours and you haven't seen mine. I'm quite proud of my bio.
This entire situation has been nothing but overshares from you. She's not going to ask you any questions. No sane person would. It's not going to happen. This whole thing was a complete catastrophe. And once again, hung up on this fucking bio thing. They're just bios. Most people write them in 10 seconds. I don't know how long he's been, like, finally crafting his, but that is not the norm. I'm sure she didn't spend days coming up with her bio on here. I don't know how it resonated so strongly with this guy, but I bet after this whole song and dance, the woman here immediately just deleted her whole account, or at the very least removed the bio entirely.
Yeah, for the 80th time, I apologize if this was weird, or, like, gave you any bad vibes. That's not my intention. Yeah, I gotta drive home now, because I gotta go sing at a bar in Mississauga, and I have 4 more gigs this weekend, and it hurts to talk. So I'm sitting here in my car like a jackass, and yeah, I hope that all made some kind of sense. And if nothing else, please take this sincere compliment. I've seen hundreds of shitty bios, probably thousands, and yours was easily top 3. The only reason I'm not getting a number 1 is because then it would seem like I'm lying. But I'm up and they recognize me. The baby's animal lover. Dogs are better than cats. Cats suck. Sorry if you have cats.
And Mrs. Plumfett. That was one of the most peculiar...
Yes, I may or may not do that 4 to 7 times a week. I'm a huge animal lover. Dogs are better than cats. Cats suck. Sorry if you have cats. I'm sure your cat is cool.
That was one of the most peculiar lies I've ever heard. You're going to stop at the park on the way home so you can visit your favorite swan couple, Mr. Plumph and Mrs. Plumfett, because they just had babies a couple weeks ago, and they recognize you and get excited and start squeaking when you come by. Like you're part of the family, part of the crew, part of the ship. What universe? What the fuck? That's not even something Dr. Seuss would write as like a little goofy side plot in a story. That is the biggest lie I've ever heard. For no reason. For no reason. The quirkiness is overloading. Like the cup runneth over on cork. Wow.
And yeah, take the compliment. Anyway, apologies if this totally intruded on your day, opposite of my intention. And yeah, your bio was fucking awesome. I mean, there's a couple other assets I noticed too, but I cannot mention them without sounding like a fuckboy, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. I'm sure you've worked very hard to be in the shape you're in, but goddamn, I would not kick you out of bed for eating crackers. So I figured if you are half as funny as you seem to be and half as cool as I got in my bio, I would say have it. Yeah, alright, hope this make you laugh and smile, and you have a fantastical day, Kelsey. Cheers.
And that's the grand finale of this whole situation, and what a journey it was. I find this to be probably the best example of the worst approach to romance imaginable. And like I said, this was not an isolated incident. He's done this before. And he's even used the same lines before. Which is it's so wild. It's so wild. I had to talk about it. I had to. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. Last night I had a little trouble falling asleep. I think what I needed was a good bedtime story. So I turned to Reddit, just cruising around, perusing, see if I could find anything that give me the yawns and help me go night-night. But I found something extraordinary. Something so stimulating I stopped any attempt at going to sleep, and I just sat there bewildered by what I had just read. For at least 40 minutes, I just sat in silence, truly stunned, like a child who had just watched his first episode of Chris Angel's Mind Freak. My brain was blown out my ass. I couldn't imagine a world where this was real, but all of the evidence pointed to it being a genuinely true story. I did eventually hit the hay, and now, a full 9 hours later, I'm still thinking about this. So, I figured, why not share it with all of you? Perhaps this will have a profound effect on your life, or maybe it'll do something to help motivate you to not be like the guy in this story. It's a series of text messages between a man and a woman. And that's all I'll tell you for now. I don't want to get into any spoilers. I want you to come into this as unsuspecting as possible. Let's dive in. Previously on Dragon Ball Z, the two people in this text conversation were close friends for about 9 years. The Reddit poster is the woman in this story, and her male friend here had recently professed his love for her in a pretty creepy way. The feeling wasn't mutual, so it led to a bit of a disconnect between the two of them, and in an act of desperation, the male friend calls in the cringe artillery and starts bombarding her with memes, to which she finally responds, "Hey, I appreciate the memes. Real quick, I'd like to come in here with a PSA. I recognize that in the current climate of things, there's a lot of people that have lived their entire lives online without any actual social interaction, so I want this to be a teachable moment. Don't send memes as some kind of last-ditch Hail Mary. If you let something rip and it's not reciprocated, spamming memes isn't going to salvage the situation. It's only going to make it worse and even weirder. Her saying, "I appreciate the memes," is just a lie. No one's ever going to say that. Those words have probably not left a human being's mouth ever. Good morrow, Sailor. I really appreciate the exquisite memes you've shared with me today. I was a little perturbed with our last conversation, but now that you've sent 1,000 memes, I see you've got a good heart. Thank you for this. And I'm speaking from experience here. I'm very knowledgeable in this field. I'm the authority on this matter. I've told this story before, but I'll just briefly repeat it. The very first girl I was ever flirting with and exchanging text messages with was back in high school, and she did not feel the same way about me as I did her. And in my weakest moments, I turned to the dark side and consulted the Sith Lords and was advised to try and maybe send goofy memes and ASCII art, because that was big back in the day. So I did. And guess what? It didn't fucking solve anything. It just made it even worse. I know how uncomfortable that must have been for her. So yeah, that that is not the right play to just start spamming memes and shit. But anyway, she continues the message by saying that she's only ever thought of him as a close friend and never really viewed him in a romantic way. So when he professed her love, it made things a little weird. They grew distant, they grew a bit hostile, but she thinks they can be friends again just as long as it's very clear that there is no romantic feelings in this relationship. She's just laying down the brass tacks and making things very clear, to which he responds, I certainly had my head on backwards, but as my friend, I really think you're fucking adorable, and every trip I've ever taken with you is so fucking precious. I've heard of a Japanese word called shibumi, and it's basically authority without dominance. Call me a simp, but I really think you have that. Code red, he's not taking no for an answer. Jinkies, we're going too deep. He just busted out shibumi. Jesus Christ, we're in the in-game now. Lord help us. He continues to spaghetti dump here for the novel that he's writing her. There's steam coming off of the touchscreen pad as he's writing. The most important takeaway here is a very specific line, a buzzword that gets dropped that I think is very important that we highlight. He says, sometimes it feels like my chivalrous interest with you is underappreciated or just unappreciated sometimes. The reason I point that out is because I'm pretty confident that the word chivalry is used exclusively by creeps. I don't think there's been a documented case of a normal person saying chivalry, especially not in this context. It's just like an immediate red flag word to drop, especially when saying that my chivalrous interest is underappreciated, it's not valued enough. It's just some certified weirdo Redditor energy, like tip of the hat. Oh, lady, it's no problem. You're welcome for holding the door open for you. Chivalry isn't dead, am I right? I'm the perfect example. No, of course, I'm just kidding. I jest. Chivalry can't die, because to die, it would imply that it was ever alive in the first place. Only a living thing can experience death, and chivalry is not a living thing. It's an idea, more of a social code, per se. He continues on, and then eventually tells her that she should like one of them so he doesn't feel crazy, to which he says, you're not crazy, I just need some time to think. Which I think is a perfectly reasonable response to all of this, but he gives her no time to think and immediately just comes back to, please, let me find favor in your eyes. I'm assuming he heard that in some kind of indie song at some point, so he tried to throw that in here to see if it worked. So he's going full-blown Robert Frost now, even then drops a picture saying, daydream with me, and it's like the sun rising. So it's getting very emotional in here. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because it's him, once again, just begging for any kind of reciprocation, to which he just keeps saying she just needs some time to process all of this. But he's extremely impatient. His foot is fully on the gas, and there's no turning back now. He is full throttle invested in all of this. He's using every possible cliche line imaginable, but he's not finding any favor in her eyes. It just keeps going. You're valid. Never really heard the extent of why I'm your friend, so now he's interrogating her. Why am I your buddy? Why am I your pal, huh? Tell me. I could tell you all day why you're my friend. Your voice is fucking music. I think you're brilliant. Just a brilliant person to be around. Really wish I could hug you. Fuck. This hurts. Then again, she reiterates, I need time to think. I will reach out when I'm ready. And now we've going, you're valid. Never really heard the extent of why I'm your friend, so now he's interrogating her. Why am I your buddy? Why am I your pal, huh? Tell me. I could tell you all day why you're my friend. Your voice is fucking music. Going, you're valid. Never the sun rising. So it's getting very emotional in here. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because it's him, once again, just begging for any kind of reciprocation, to which she just keeps saying she just needs some time to process all of this. But he's extremely impatient. His foot is fully on the gas, and there's no turning back now. He is full throttle invested in all of this. He's using every possible cliche line imaginable, but he's not finding any favor in her eyes. It just keeps going. You're valid. Never really heard the extent of why I'm your friend, so now he's interrogating her. Why am I your buddy? Why am I your pal, huh? Tell me. I could tell you all day why you're my friend. Your voice is fucking music. I think you're brilliant. Just a brilliant person to be around. Really wish I could hug you. Fuck. This hurts. Then again, she reiterates, I need time to think. I will reach out when I'm ready. And now we've finally gotten past the introduction here, and we're entering the climax. Welcome to the wacky zone.
Oh, God.